Welcome back to the College Cinephile, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tate, and I'm joined with Schuyler. And today we're going to be talking about Ford v Ferrari, the latest film from director James Mangold, who has brought us other greats, such as Logan and the 2007 3:10 to Yuma remake. This particular venture is starring Matt Damon and Christian Bale, with Catriona Balfe, Tracy Letts, and John Barenthal as supporters.
The story is based off the true tale of two men, Carroll Shelby and Ken Miles, who battle the corporate influence of Ford, their own inner demons, and the laws of physics in a mad dash attempt to build a Ford race car that can defeat Ferrari in the 1966 Le Mans race. So, Tate, what did you think of the movie?
Well, to be honest, Schuyler, I had a pretty great time with it.
I did too. I thought it was a fantastic movie. I thought that the characters in particular were really good. I thought Shelby was very interesting, as well as Ken Miles, who, is kind of a forgotten piece of history. I've never heard of this story until the movie came out.
Oh yeah. As a Triple Crown winner, should not be swept under the rug.
Exactly, and well, not to spoil anything about the movie, but the ending is very significant in history, I think. Not only because of their the competition against Ferrari, but just in the amount of speed that they were able to do in that race is incredible.
It also shows how much you have to suck up to companies sometimes.
Exactly. And one thing I do like about the movie is that it's not so black and white. Ford's not completely good, Ferrari's not completely bad. It's a very gray area. There's a lot of good and bad with all the characters in the movie.
Oh yeah. We gotta talk about Christian Bale for a moment.
Oh yeah.
I think he got to work more and closer to his normal accent again, which is always refreshing to me. Mm-hmm. He was definitely a lot of fun as a character. Most of the time he was on screen, I was having fun, because he just has this very vivacious personality that he brought with him. He was the kind of person who would probably have fun in any scenario that you threw at him, even when he's being brought down by the suits. Mm-hmm. There was just nothing that could really get to him. He just had this overwhelming spirit of really, really wanting to win and stick it to whoever was facing him.
He definitely gave off a vibe like he knew what he was talking about. The character that he plays is somebody that understands everything about a vehicle. He can look at it and immediately know what is good or bad about a vehicle. And honestly, I fully believed it. As far as I know, Christian Bale is a car man because the performance was spot on.
Oh yeah, and I thought it really worked. I thought he and Matt Damon had some really great chemistry together. Like, it's
a lot of good humor.
It's very interesting to see them work together kind of like that. Because in a sense, Carroll Shelby is a corporate man, but not nearly in the way that the Ford executives are.
Yeah, exactly. And they have they have an outsider perspective. It's not just about the two corporate heads. It's also about these outsiders that have to come in and tell Ford what they have to do.
Most certainly. But that's not the only great thing about this movie. Mm-hmm. This movie has some action.
Some of the most high adrenaline scenes I've seen in a film all year.
Oh yeah. In fact, I would argue that it's kind of like Mad Max Fury Road in pockets at times, with just how much adrenaline is pumping a lot of the time. So it make no mistake, it doesn't joke around when it comes to making you feel something.
Now, I will say, full disclosure, I saw this movie in IMAX. Usually I'm not one of those proponents for seeing things in 3D or IMAX, but if you do see this movie, I highly recommend IMAX. The surround sound and the gigantic screen really helps the action really stick out.
Oh yeah. And the adrenaline helps it move along very swiftly. Like, this is a 2.5 hour long movie, and it feels like maybe most 2-hour movies do, overall.
It has a very good pace. Like, pretty much, like, as soon as the movie gets going, like, even before the race has even become an element of the film, there's already this kind of tension. When John Ford II comes in, there's already, like, this pressure that Ford gets in. They have to be as competitive or as interesting as Ferrari. And so from the minute the film begins with that, to Shelby getting involved, to Ken Miles having to deal with the opposition at Ford, the whole pace of the movie is energetic and fast, just like the cars that it's based off.
Oh, yeah. Ford and Ferrari really hated each other. I could imagine. I really bought that while I was watching. It was bitter, man.
Exactly,
Like,
man.
like really bitter.
Now, I will say...
Not perfect.
Not a perfect film, but it does have a lot of good things about it. One of the issues is the tone sometimes. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yeah. It can drop at the hat, like just like that, probably when you don't need it to at times, or where it wouldn't really make sense for there to do.
There's a few parts where they start going into narration, and the tone kind of doesn't really fit with the narration. Like it kind of, like you're following it, but it does seem like the narration kind of came out of nowhere, and it feels like a kind of different movie. So sometimes that tone shift can be a little bit of a negative.
Oh,
but
yeah.
to me, it did not distract from the rest of the film.
Like, that's pretty much the only big con that I have with it, is that it feels very by the numbers. And when you hit those notes, the tone of it changes. And I think sort of the impact of the scenes sharply decline. It just, where it takes me out of there for a moment, but then they usually have something very nice and fast-paced to bring me back into it.
I would kind of compare it to the turns, like on the race car. Whenever it does kind of have a tone shift and it kind of starts not being that good, it makes the turn and it becomes a good film again. So I don't think that the tone shifts distract from the film. It's just, it's just a part of the race you got to get to the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, Tate, what did you think of the movie? What rating would you give?
Well, I had a ton of fun with it. It's not perfect by any means in my eyes, but it's very out there for a studio film. Very impressive overall, and I would give it 3.5 out of 5 reels.
I thought the film was absolutely fantastic. I would give it a 4.5 out of 5. It's one of the best films I've seen this year.
And we'd both highly recommend it.
Absolutely. Go race to the theater and watch it. So, once you made it past the finish line, don't forget to like and subscribe. Watch more of the College Cinephile.
Thank you for tuning in. Bye.